The next book is another non-fiction military history book. Between Silk and Cyanide by Leo Marx. Leo Marx was quite a young man at the beginning of World War II, and he had a real interest in codes and ciphers. He was interviewed at Bletchley Park, the code-breaking establishment, and they suggested that he was more suited to work with SOE, Special Operations Executive. And they were probably right, because he rose to head of agent codes in that organization. He was immediately alarmed by how flimsy the existing codes were there. They were using, for the agents, they were using a poem code which was based around a selected well-known poem that the agent was able to memorize. But it was very, very easy to break and to defeat, as Leo Marx used to demonstrate. It was insecure, really. And SOE had been given this coding system by SIS, the Secret Intelligence Service, as being suitable for agent use. And Leo fought against this for several years, and eventually was able to get one-time pads and things like that accepted. But for a long time he was stuck with the poem codes. So he had the idea that rather using existing poems, which once you had cracked the first couple of words, the rest obviously would flow if it was something by Keats or Tennyson or so on, well known in literature, that if he had specially written poems, they wouldn't be so easy to guess the next sequences. So he used to get everyone on his dog to create little poems, and he would then issue them to the agents to memorize. And one of the famous ones that he wrote was given to one of the female agents. Now, Leo's job was briefing or refreshing the agents on their coding before they deployed. And he describes quite a few of the agents he worked with. For example, the team that went out to do the famous Telemark raid in Norway. But also a couple of the female agents, Violette Szabo and Noah Inayat Khan. He was absolutely entranced with these two ladies, who were both very striking women. And he gave Violette the poem, The Life That I Have. And the poem's in the book, and it's also in the movie that was made about her life, Carve Her Name with Pride. She was parachuted into, or dropped into France, I think twice, but was eventually captured and killed, as was Noah Inayat Khan. Another agent that Leo admired greatly was Yo Thomas, who went to France several times, was eventually captured, tortured by the Gestapo, but never broke. And he was sent to Buchenwald concentration camp still under his cover name. He eventually escaped from the camp and made his way back. Absolute hero, and the admiration that Leo has for him comes right through. Leo Marx detected the weaknesses in SOE codes very early on and railed against the system. And one of the areas that he was very concerned with was the Netherlands N section, because virtually all of the agents who were sent into the Netherlands were rolled up by the enemy very, very quickly, and then they were played back, sending false information back to London in what the Abwehr were using as what was called a Funkspiel, a radio game. And Leo was very suspicious of this, and the security procedures, the radio procedures used by N section were very, very flimsy. For example, you had agents who were using the security check that they were given to alert the home station that they had been captured. They were using it correctly, and the home station was ignoring it, and in fact sometimes even telling them not to forget to put the security check in. And this just reinforced the agents' belief. They were being told by the advert that they'd penetrated London, and they had spies in London, and it kind of it convinced them that this was true. So that was a real black eye for SOE. Fortunately, later on, it was made much more secure. It's a great book. It's very, very witty in parts. He's got a great way of writing. His family business was actually a bookshop in Charing Cross Road, London. That doesn't obviously mean you're going to be a great writer, but he had a real interest in books. And later on, he after the war, he became a screenwriter and wrote some movies. Really one of my favourite military history books, and well worth a read.